The power of dignified silence. Have you ever noticed that truly peaceful individuals rarely broadcast their lives to the world? There's a profound strength in selective disclosure, in knowing precisely what to reveal and what to safeguard behind the walls of privacy. In our hyper-connected era where oversharing has become normalized, the ancient Stoics offer us timeless wisdom about the virtue of restraint. The best answer for anger is silence, Seneca wrote, and this extends beyond moments of conflict. As we navigate life, particularly in our mature years, we discover that discretion isn't merely about secrecy, it's about maintaining personal sovereignty, dignity, and inner tranquility. The digital age has transformed privacy from a natural state into a deliberate choice. Social media algorithms reward vulnerability, convincing us that constant transparency equals authenticity. Yet the Stoics would argue that true authenticity comes from living according to our values, not from exposing every facet of our existence for public consumption. What follows are 8 deeply personal aspects of life that deserve protection from casual disclosure. These aren't arbitrary restrictions, but rather Stoic principles for preserving your peace of mind, safeguarding your reputation, and moving through life with quiet confidence. This isn't about building walls, but about establishing healthy boundaries that allow genuine connection while maintaining personal sovereignty. Before we explore these principles, consider this. Every time you share something personal, ask yourself, does this disclosure serve my well-being, or am I relinquishing a piece of my power? The answer may reshape how you approach vulnerability in a world that constantly demands it. 1. Age, more than just a number. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. When strangers meet, "How old are you?" often follows introductory pleasantries. This seemingly innocent question carries significant implications, especially as we enter our 5th decade and beyond. Age has transcended its biological meaning to become a societal label, one that others use to categorize, limit, and define our capabilities. Consider how quickly perception shifts when age enters the conversation. Share that you're 65, and suddenly your decades of experience become overshadowed by assumptions about declining capabilities. Mention you're 72, and your innovative ideas might be dismissed before they're even considered. This subtle ageism permeates even the most progressive environments. The Stoics recognized that fixating on numerical age creates unnecessary anxiety. As Seneca observed, we are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end of them. When we attach ourselves to a number, we invite others to view us through that restrictive lens. Imagine 2 scenarios. In the first, you introduce yourself as 73 years old before sharing your perspective. In the second, you simply offer your wisdom without numerical qualification. The reception differs dramatically, though the substance remains identical. Privacy about your age liberates you from societal expectations about what you should be doing at a certain stage of life. It forces others to evaluate you based on your energy, insights, and contributions, rather than preconceived notions about your generation. This isn't about denial or deception. It's about understanding that true vitality isn't measured in years, but in how fully you engage with each moment. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the quality of our time matters infinitely more than its quantity. By keeping your age private, you reclaim the power to define yourself beyond chronology. The next time someone inquires about your age, Consider responding with something that reveals your character rather than your birth date. Old enough to recognize patterns, young enough to question them. 2. Financial status, the wisdom of fiscal privacy. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. Perhaps no subject transforms relationships more swiftly than money. By your 50s and beyond, your financial situation may be comfortable, precarious, or anywhere in between. Regardless of where you stand, the Stoics would advise keeping these details private, not from shame, but from wisdom. When financial status becomes public knowledge, relationships subtly shift. Consider the wealthy individual whose generosity becomes expected rather than appreciated. Friends and family may begin viewing them as walking resources rather than complete human beings. What was once freely given becomes implicitly demanded. Conversely, revealing financial struggles invites unsolicited advice, judgment, and sometimes pity. In a culture that often conflates net worth with personal worth, disclosing monetary challenges can undermine your social standing and invite scrutiny of your life choices. The Stoic perspective on wealth transcends bank statements. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor, observed Seneca. True abundance comes from contentment with what you have, not from accumulation beyond need. Financial privacy protects your autonomy and preserves authentic connections. When acquaintances don't know your income bracket, investment portfolio, or retirement savings, they relate to you based on character rather than capital. Conversations remain centered on ideas, experiences, and values instead of net worth. This boundary becomes increasingly important in later life when financial predators often target older adults. Maintaining discretion about your resources discourages those who might exploit vulnerability for monetary gain. Remember the old adage, money talks, but wealth whispers. Those who have achieved true financial wisdom rarely discuss their portfolios. They understand that prosperity, like many virtues, requires no announcement. It manifests naturally through measured choices, thoughtful generosity, and quiet confidence. Keep your financial matters private, not because you have something to hide, but because you have something to protect: your dignity, your relationships, and your freedom to live according to your own values rather than others' expectations. 3. Family tensions, the sanctuary of home. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius. Family relationships contain multitudes, love intertwined with disappointment, loyalty tested by betrayal, bonds strengthened through conflict. By midlife and beyond, most of us have weathered family storms that shaped us profoundly. The question isn't whether these difficulties exist, but how we choose to address them. When family tensions arise, the modern instinct often leads to external processing, venting to friends, seeking validation on social media, or consulting multiple outside perspectives. The Stoic approach suggests a different path, handling family matters within the family circle whenever possible. Epictetus reminded us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This wisdom proves especially valuable in family conflicts. Speaking too freely about internal struggles not only damages trust among relatives, but also invites judgment from those who cannot possibly understand the complete context. Consider what happens when you share a relative's failures publicly. The momentary relief from venting comes at a steep price: broken trust, damaged reputation, and the transformation of a private matter into public spectacle. Once family secrets escape the sanctuary of home, they cannot be recaptured. This doesn't mean suffering in silence or tolerating truly harmful behavior. Rather, it means addressing issues directly with those involved, seeking professional help when necessary, and being selective about which aspects of family life deserve broader discussion. As we age, family dynamics often grow more complex. Adult children make choices we might question. Siblings follow divergent paths. Parents require different types of care. Throughout these transitions, maintaining family privacy creates space for growth, reconciliation, and authentic connection. The Stoics understood that family, with all its imperfections, provides a foundation for developing virtue. By protecting family privacy, we preserve the safe environment needed for honest conversation, genuine forgiveness, and the evolution of relationships over time. Before sharing family struggles, ask yourself, does this disclosure serve healing or merely my need for validation? Will it strengthen bonds or further fracture them? In most cases, discretion serves not just your family's dignity, but your own peace of mind. 4. Health concerns. Maintaining dignity amid challenges. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. As the years advance, our bodies inevitably change. Joints protest movements once taken for granted. Chronic conditions may require management. Medications become part of daily routines. These physical realities need not become the centerpiece of our identity or conversation. The Stoics recognize that while health challenges are part of the human experience, our response to them remains within our control. Seneca, who suffered from asthma throughout his life, observed, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." This courage manifests not through complaint, but through dignified management of whatever conditions we face. When we regularly discuss our ailments, treatments, and medical appointments, we risk being defined by our conditions rather than our character. Conversations that might have centered on ideas, current events, or meaningful reflections instead revolve around symptoms and side effects. We inadvertently reduce ourselves to patients rather than whole persons. Moreover, sharing health details often invites a barrage of unsolicited advice. Well-meaning friends suggest unproven remedies. Distant acquaintances recount tangentially related health scares, and internet algorithms suddenly flood you with targeted medical advertisements. The resulting cacophony can increase anxiety rather than alleviate it. Consider, too, how disclosure affects how others perceive your capabilities. Mention a chronic condition, and even supportive friends might hesitate to include you in challenging activities. Discuss a serious diagnosis, and colleagues might question your professional capacity despite evidence to the contrary. This isn't to suggest suffering in isolation. Confiding in close family members, trusted friends, and qualified medical professionals remains essential. The Stoic approach differentiates between strategic disclosure for support and broadcasting health concerns indiscriminately. Remember that managing health challenges requires remarkable strength, the kind that doesn't need public recognition to be valid. By maintaining privacy about medical matters, you retain control over your narrative and ensure that health status remains just one aspect of your multifaceted identity. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, true power lies not in perfect health, but in our response to whatever circumstances we face. Protecting medical privacy preserves dignity, reduces unnecessary anxiety, and allows us to be seen for our whole selves rather than our diagnoses. 5. Intimate relationships. Protecting sacred connections. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Perhaps no aspect of human experience requires more protection than intimacy. Whether you're in a decades-long partnership, navigating new romance later in life, or embracing solitude, the details of your intimate world deserve careful guardianship. Contrary to youthful assumptions, passion, connection, and desire don't diminish with age. They transform, often deepening through shared history and mature understanding. Yet discussing these matters too openly invites misinterpretation, judgment, and even ridicule in a culture that sometimes struggles to acknowledge sexuality beyond youth. The Stoics viewed intimate relationships as sacred spaces for vulnerability and growth. As Seneca advised, enjoy present pleasures in such a way as not to injure future ones. Speaking too freely about romantic life can damage the very connection it describes, introducing external perspectives into something fundamentally private. Consider what happens when relationship details become conversation fodder. Struggles that might have been temporary become codified through repetition. Offhand comments about partners create impressions that outlast their accuracy. Private moments lose their intimacy when shared with those who cannot appreciate their context. This boundary becomes especially important in midlife and beyond, when relationships often gain complexity through decades of shared experience. The depth of mature connection transcends casual description and deserves protection from superficial analysis. For those navigating singlehood, privacy offers similar benefits. Constant questioning about dating intentions or relationship status can undermine contentment with solitude. The Stoics recognized that true fulfillment comes from within, not from meeting external relationship expectations. Maintaining discretion about intimate matters isn't prudishness, but wisdom. It acknowledges that meaningful connection thrives in private spaces, protected from unnecessary scrutiny. It recognizes that the most profound aspects of relationships often exist beyond words, in the silent understanding between partners. Let your romantic life remain largely between you and your partner, not because it lacks beauty, but because its beauty deserves protection. As Marcus Aurelius suggests, the quality of our thoughts, including those about intimacy, directly influences our happiness. 6. Acts of generosity, the quiet virtue. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Live by following the inner light. Marcus Aurelius. In an age of performative philanthropy, where charitable acts often seem designed more for social media engagement than genuine impact, the Stoic approach to giving offers refreshing contrast. True generosity, the Stoics believed, requires no audience. It finds fulfillment in the act itself rather than subsequent recognition. Consider how modern charity often operates. Donations come with naming opportunities. Volunteer work generates self-congratulatory posts. Corporate giving transforms into marketing campaigns. Against this backdrop, quiet generosity becomes revolutionary, a rejection of validation seeking in favor of authentic virtue. Seneca cautioned that a benefit is rendered worthless by the expectation of gratitude. When we publicize our generosity, we subtly shift its purpose from helping others to enhancing our reputation. The focus moves from recipient to giver, from impact to image. Beyond philosophical considerations, private giving protects the dignity of those receiving help. Not everyone wishes to be identified as a charity case. By keeping your generosity confidential, you allow recipients to maintain their pride and self-respect while meeting their needs. As we move through our 50s, 60s, and beyond, many gain increased capacity for giving, whether financially, through mentorship, or by volunteering time and expertise. This expanded ability creates opportunities for profound impact, especially when delivered without fanfare. The most meaningful contributions often occur behind closed doors. The anonymous scholarship that changes a student's trajectory, the quiet check that saves a family from eviction, the unheralded mentorship that launches a career. These actions require no announcement because their value lies in their effect, not their visibility. This doesn't mean refusing acknowledgement when it naturally occurs. Rather, it means giving without expectation, helping without calculation, and finding satisfaction in the knowledge that you've contributed to something greater than yourself. As Marcus Aurelius advised, follow your inner light rather than external validation. Give because it aligns with your values, not because it will impress your social circle. In doing so, you'll discover that the most profound rewards of generosity come not from recognition, but from knowing you've lived according to your highest principles. 7. Personal accomplishments, the quiet confidence of achievement. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. By middle age and beyond, most of us have accumulated significant accomplishments: raising children, building careers, mastering skills, overcoming adversities. These achievements shape our character and contribute to our wisdom. Yet the Stoics would caution against frequent recitation of personal successes. In contemporary culture, accomplishments often function as currency in social interactions. Past glories become conversational shortcuts, establishing credibility without requiring present engagement. The Stoic perspective suggests a different approach. Let your current actions speak louder than your historical resume. Seneca warned against the need for external validation. It is the mark of an unstable mind to seek admiration from others. When we repeatedly reference past achievements, we reveal an unsettling truth: that our sense of worth remains contingent on others' recognition rather than internal conviction. Consider how differently we perceive those who constantly remind us of their accomplishments versus those who carry their success with quiet dignity. The former seems insecure despite their achievements. The latter demonstrates genuine confidence through their restraint. This principle becomes especially relevant in retirement or career transitions, when professional identities may shift. Those who have defined themselves primarily through titles and achievements often struggle when these external markers change. The Stoic approach suggests building identity on character rather than credentials, on who you are rather than what you've accomplished. Privacy about achievements also prevents unintended consequences. Frequent mention of successes can create distance in relationships, make others feel inadequate by comparison, or invite envy rather than admiration. By discussing accomplishments selectively, you create space for more authentic connections based on present reality rather than past performance. This doesn't mean denying your history or hiding your expertise when relevant. Rather, it means allowing your wisdom to emerge naturally through thoughtful contributions rather than deliberate self-promotion. It means understanding that true respect cannot be demanded through recitation of credentials, but must be earned through consistent demonstration of character. As Epictetus reminds us, our response to circumstances matters more than the circumstances themselves. By carrying achievements with humility and focusing on present contribution rather than past glory, you embody the Stoic ideal of quiet confidence, a strength that needs no announcement because it proves itself through action. 8. Past hurts, the liberation of letting go. If someone is able to provoke you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Epictetus. Life inevitably brings injuries, betrayals by those we trusted, public humiliations, devastating rejections, casual cruelties. By middle age, most of us carry an inventory of such wounds. The Stoic question isn't whether these hurts occurred, but whether we choose to keep them alive through constant retelling. Modern psychology and ancient Stoicism converge on this point. Repeatedly recounting past injuries reinforces neural pathways associated with those painful memories. Each retelling strengthens the hurt's hold on us rather than diminishing it. As Marcus Aurelius observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Consider what happens when past slights become regular topics of conversation. Temporary injuries transform into permanent identities: the betrayed spouse, the unappreciated employee, the estranged parent. Initial sympathy from listeners eventually turns to fatigue as the same stories circulate without resolution. More troublingly, defining ourselves through past injuries surrenders our present peace to those who harmed us. We give them continued power over our emotional state long after the actual event has ended. To carry anger is to chain ourselves to those who have wronged us, wrote Seneca. To let go is to reclaim our freedom. This doesn't mean denying legitimate trauma or avoiding necessary processing. Professional counseling, journaling, and confidential discussions with trusted individuals remain valuable tools for healing. The Stoic caution applies specifically to the habit of constantly revisiting hurts in everyday conversation. Protecting past injuries from casual disclosure serves multiple purposes. It prevents rehashing painful memories that trigger stress responses. It preserves dignity by focusing on resilience rather than victimhood. And perhaps most importantly, it creates space for genuine healing rather than mere sympathy seeking. As we age, the opportunity for perspective grows. Injuries that once seemed world-ending reveal themselves as chapters rather than conclusions. The Stoic practice of reflecting on mortality, memento mori, reminds us that life is too precious to waste harboring old grievances. By keeping past hurts private, you aren't denying their impact, but choosing not to let them define your present. You're recognizing, as Epictetus taught, that while we cannot control others' actions toward us, we retain absolute sovereignty over our response. The power of discretion, a concluding reflection. As we navigate an increasingly transparent world, the ancient Stoic virtue of discretion offers remarkable benefits. Privacy isn't about secrecy from those we trust, but about maintaining healthy boundaries that protect our dignity, relationships, and inner peace. The 8 areas we've explored: age, finances, family dynamics, health concerns, intimate relationships, acts of generosity, personal accomplishments, and past hurts, share a common thread. In each case, selective disclosure serves not just social strategy, but psychological well-being. The best answer for anger is silence, wrote Seneca, and this wisdom extends beyond moments of provocation. Sometimes the most powerful response to the world's demands for transparency is measured restraint, not from fear, but from self-respect. This approach doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding authentic connection. Rather, it means distinguishing between vulnerability that builds meaningful relationships and oversharing that undermines personal sovereignty. It means recognizing, as Marcus Aurelius did, that very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. As you move forward, consider implementing these Stoic principles gradually. Notice the impulse to share personal details unnecessarily. Observe how protected information often retains more power than broadcasted facts. Experience the freedom that comes from defining yourself through present actions rather than past circumstances. If you found value in these reflections on Stoic privacy, I invite you to contemplate how these principles might transform your approach to social interaction. Which areas of your life might benefit from more intentional boundaries? Where might selective disclosure increase your peace of mind? The Stoics understood what modern research confirms, that inner tranquility comes not from external validation, but from alignment with personal values. In a world that increasingly demands performance of private experience, choosing thoughtful restraint represents not just wisdom, but rebellion against the attention economy. Remember that true strength often manifests not in what we proclaim, but in what we protect. As you continue your journey towards Stoic tranquility, may you find the perfect balance between authentic connection and dignified privacy, and in that balance, discover the quiet power that comes from knowing exactly which parts of yourself to share and which to hold sacred. Did you find this video valuable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like if you resonate with Stoic principles and strive for a stronger, more independent life. Share this video to spread the wisdom of inner peace and self-mastery to others. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more insights into Stoic philosophy and meaningful living.